Ooh, welcome back to the Saturday Scholars College Football Podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That is Gonzo. That is Zan. I am Shub. And today we are here to do bold predictions. Boys, let's put on our hats. Let's strap it up. Let's make some bold takes, boys. What's going to happen on the field for the 2023 season? Each of us have a few bold takes here. Let's waste no time. Let's get into it. All right. Gonzo, lead us off here. What's your first bold take for 2023?
So thank you, Shub. My first bold take for this upcoming season is I think the Sunflower Showdown, which for those who may not know, that is the game between Kansas and Kansas State. That's the rivalry. I think that matchup is going to be a ranked matchup. So both teams will be ranked in the top 25, and the top spot in the Big 12 is going to be on the line, meaning that whoever wins will be poised to play in the Big 12 championship. And I still think this coincides with what I said earlier about Texas Tech and Oklahoma on one of our previous pods, because there's still a week of football to be played. So it is in my scenario, either Kansas or K-State wins, is primed in maybe that second spot and maybe gets leaped in the final week of the college football season. But yes, I am riding both high on the Kansas schools that they'll be ranked. I can't even tell you the last time they were ranked, and have a very big stakes. Very high stakes, I should say, riding on the Sunflower Showdown.
So one little thing that I added this year was you guys see the odds column right there. Because I'm a big nerd, I decided, I'm going to go and calculate the odds that a sportsbook would give out, or at least do the best that I can based on the information that I could find publicly, and give you what a sportsbook would have for odds for these predictions. This is pretty bold, man. Plus 5,100. So the part that's not bold is that Kansas or Kansas State making the Big 12 championship game, because I assume if there's a top spot in the Big 12 on the line, it means that they are, par for the course for the Big 12 championship game. That only has a 37.1% chance, either one of the two Kansas schools. But you add the fact that there's a top spot in the Big 12 on the line. That's pretty bold, because both teams have to be playing for a top spot in the Big 12. That's pretty bold. That's what makes this plus 5,100. So I like it, though.
Definitely a bold take, especially Kansas. I think K-State, I could definitely see being in that conversation. For Kansas, everything's going to have to go right. And I think it's especially bold just because it's the Big 12. And we know how the Big 12 likes to beat up on each other. So I like it, though. We're here to swing. We're here to swing. And hopefully we knock some of them out of the park.
That would be a 1.9% chance, by the way. That's what plus 5,100 is. All right. Zan, you're up to bat next.
Well, let's keep it in the Big 12. Let's keep it in the Big 12 here. And this one, oh, there it is. This one here it's already on screen for you guys. But this one here, Texas beats Alabama in Tuscaloosa and finally wins the Big 12. I know we've been saying it every year. Texas should win the Big 12. Texas is back. Texas should win the Big 12 this year. They have a better roster than Alabama this year. I think this will be the year they finally do something. And plus 600, 1-6. It's bold, but not as bold as Sunflower Showdown. So I'm a little disappointed in myself. But I will say that if Texas will do this any year, they have to do it this year, while their talent discrepancy is the widest it's ever going to be in the league that they're currently in.
Hey, I like this one a lot. So it's funny because the way that you made this, Texas beats Alabama and wins the Big 12 title. So essentially you're making this a two-leg parlay. So the odds of Texas...
You know me, I love parlays.
Oh, I know you do. You love your two-leg parlays. Texas right now is plus 7 against Alabama, which I already bet. They're plus 250 money line. Parlay plus 250 money line with Texas's odds of winning the Big 12, which is even. So you basically combine those, multiply it together, and you have a 14% chance, according to the odds makers, that Texas beats Alabama and wins the Big 12, thus plus 600 odds. So personally, if a sports book put this one out there, if the sports books allowed you to make parlays like this, I would hammer this because I think there is extreme value on that. It should not be plus 600, but that's just my 2 cents. But I like it. It's a bold prediction that I legitimately would put my money on.
Dan, I love it for reasons we talked about on other pods. There's questions of Alabama in the quarterback room, and Texas on paper has the talent. And so I do think it's very feasible that they will win in Tuscaloosa and then just take care of business and win the conference. It's almost going to be harder for them to win the conference and actually to beat Alabama, it feels like. But I really like this, and I think it's a very feasible thing that can happen.
All right, let's move on. Little mic adjustment for me. Sorry about that. So the next bold take, my first one of this segment. Kentucky will finish second place in the SEC East. A little spicy. I like it. You know, I told you guys the win totals. I'm high on Kentucky. I was pretty high on Tennessee too, but you know what, man? I think the variance with Tennessee with Joe Milton is just so high. And if you were to hang out plus 1,300 odds on this happening, I will take it. Give me Devin Leary. Give me that coaching staff. Give me Mark Stoops. I think Kentucky has the upside to finish as second in the SEC East. Plus 1,300 odds, I would put my money on that. And again, the point of this segment, we would legitimately put our money on this if we already haven't put our money on these happening, if we could. So plus 1,300 odds, which means that Kentucky would have, what is that, a 7% chance, according to the sports books, to finish second in the East.
I like it and I hate it. I like it because Devin Leary has a lot of potential. And if Devin Leary can stay healthy, there's a lot that Kentucky may be able to do. And second place is definitely within the realm of possibility. But I also hate it because I think there's a good chance Devin Leary might get banged up. And then even so, we don't know about Tennessee. Tennessee could still end up being really, really good. I mean, Joe Milton's being hyped up this offseason as like some, you know, no interception throwing savant who has a power arm that can throw 100 yards. I mean, like he's being hyped up as this god right now. So we'll see, guys. I mean, we'll see.
That
but
just gave me
I
more
like
incentive to make this bold prediction. All the Joe Milton hype is getting out of hand, in my opinion. So that just gave me more incentive to do this.
Tennessee fans hate you now.
Yeah.
I like the faith in Mark Stoops. If there's any guy who can pull this off, it is him at the helm. I will just echo what I said at win totals. If that O-line can just stay healthy, this is going to help you hit on this for sure. So here's my next bold prediction. Shub, Zan. I'm taking us down to the G5 level. And I think that Ohio or Toledo will make a New Year's 6 bowl game. I can already hear the Tulane fans coming at me. Let me give very brief reasons. Ohio's got Curtis Rourke at quarterback. They've got a Blitnikoff wide receiver watch list candidate in Sam Wilsgus, senior O-line, veteran defense, their toughest games on the road versus FAU and then on the road versus Buffalo. For Toledo, DeQuan Finn, and the defending champions, DeQuan Finn's the quarterback, of course, veteran O-line. You got Dallas Gant, who is getting award hype at linebacker. Then Quinion Mitchell and Maxon Hook are also getting award hype in the secondary. And their toughest games are at Illinois, which opens the season, and then conference, Buffalo and Eastern Michigan. So yes, I have a MAC team going to one of the New Year's 6 games.
You know, I think that's bold. So I'm gonna copy Zan's line here. I like it and I don't like it. I like it because, yeah, if you were just leave it at Ohio Toledo will win the MAC, well, yeah, there's a 63% chance one of these two teams wins the MAC. They're the favorites. That's not bold. What is bold is the fact that one of them is going to make it to the New Year's 6 bowl, which the MAC conference has just not been the greatest in recent years. And man, if that happens, I gave it a 10% subjective chance. Again, I didn't have sportsbook odds in this. So you combine a 63% chance that the sportsbooks say that they'll win the MAC, combine that with my subjective 10% chance that one of them will make a New Year's 6 bowl. That's a 6.3% chance, which is plus 1,500 odds. So Shub's Sportsbook will give you a plus 1,500 on this bet here. I like it.
Definitely. You're coming up with some good ones here, Gonzo. I really like this one also. I mean, I don't think this one's likely just because of the MAC not being very well respected. But if one of these teams goes undefeated, I mean, it's definitely there. It's definitely there. And it could happen because these two are far and away the best teams in their conference.
All right. So, Zan, you have no more bets left because you're a guy of simplicity. You just say I like
I am
one.
a guy of simplicity. I sat there and I thought about it and I thought about it, trying to come up with some things, some bold predictions that I could actually really get behind. And I sat there and pondered and said, there's nothing that I can possibly put together that wouldn't just be me trying to start on the wall. So
Hey, I respect it. You got one bold
Respect.
prediction. You're sticking with it. That's it. I like it. All right. Next to me, Carolina Blues. That's what I'm naming this parlay. South Carolina will not make a bowl game, and North Carolina will win less than 8 regular season games. That is my custom Shub parlay. Now, I already said this in win total. So basically, all that I did here, South Carolina's win total is 6 right now. I got it at 6.5. It's down to 6. South Carolina under 6 is plus 105, which is a 49% chance. Multiply that by UNC under 8 wins, which is plus 110, or a 47% chance. That comes out to a 23% chance that both of these will happen, thus plus 330 odds. Value, hammer it, Shub Sportsbook. Give me that parlay. I bet both these with my personal money, even though they're individual bets. But if I could parlay it into a Carolina Blues parlay and name it that, I would 100% do that.
if only you lived in Vegas, Shub, you could walk right up to the casino and say, hey, what can you get? What odds will you give me for this? But I'll tell you what, I like it because you know me, I love the 2-leg parlays. So I definitely like this one. I like the name for it too, the Carolina Blues. I think it's very appropriate. And I think it's very, very realistic. I think that plus 33, I think this is definitely one where a Shub $2 bet could be a Shub $6.30 winning or $6.90, whatever.
Shub, I got the utmost faith in the UNC under. I've said on previous pods that I kind of wish I could have flipped my win total take on that one. But South Carolina, I absolutely can see you going into the Palmetto Bowl 5-6, and hopefully Clemson doesn't let you down this time and helps us solidify this take. But I do like it. I like kind of pumping the brakes on the Shane Beamer hype train as well.
Both
He's
of
a
these
good
win
coach.
totals,
but
both of these
yeah.
win totals have come down since we've recorded, FYI. So we got in at the right time, or at least
Mhm.
I did. All right, Gonzo, what do we got next?
All right. I'm ready to shake the room on this one. I'm taking us to the ACC, the divisionless ACC, and I have the Duke Blue Devils winning 10 games in the regular season. Basically, can they take one between Clemson, Notre Dame, who they have at home, or FSU on the road, which that's probably unlikely, and then take care of business with the rest of the conference. So I basically have them taking 2 of 3 against the big dogs and winning 10 regular season games. I can't even tell you the last time Duke won double digit, but I got faith in Riley Leonard. And even though regression does seem very likely, I just believe in Elko and what they're doing there. And let's shake it up. I'd love to see this.
Cube Sportsbook says that there is a 3.85% chance this happens. Plus 2,500. That's a 25-1 odds right there, Gonzo. Hey, bet $4, win 100.
Yeah.
That's what you get here.
And maybe they get Clemson to start the year. Clemson doesn't have it rolling yet. Maybe you get a shocker there. Notre Dame, there's some questions there. I mean, Hartman's good. Hartman probably is going to hold his own. And then FSU, I mean, who knows? I mean, FSU is usually primed for one of those surprise games throughout the year, even with as much hype as they're getting. But again, I know this is a long shot, but it would just be really exciting to see. And I am banking a lot basically on Riley Leonard and the gang here.
So Gonzo, when I was actually considering potentially taking another flyer on a bold prediction, it was along the Duke Blue Devils line. I was considering taking the Duke Blue Devils to finish 3rd in the ACC, not 10 wins, but to finish 3rd in the ACC. I don't think that's likely. I think they're probably finish 4th or 5th, but that's why I eventually chickened out and didn't go towards it. You obviously have more balls than I do because you went for the 10 wins. You went for the jugular. So hats off to you. It's very bold. So hats off to you, man. You got a steel curtain down there.
Appreciate it.
Who said we're a Huskies podcast? We're not a Washington podcast. We're a Duke podcast.
That's
we're
right.
all big on Duke this year. All right. What do we have up next? What am I cooking up? This is what I'm cooking up. The Auburn Tigers will beat Georgia or Alabama this year. I think it's a good roster that just had poor coaching the last couple of years. Now that you got a good coach in there, Hugh Freeze, you know Auburn, you know how it is at Jordan-Hare. They got the Iron Bowl at home this year. I think Alabama's vulnerable. I threw Georgia in here as a little bit of giving me a little bit of a safety net, even though that one's far less likely in my opinion. But plus 200, which really isn't that bold, which, I was a little upset at myself for this because when I went and did the odds, I was like, that's not really that bold, but plus 200, it's bold, but it's not like super bold, but I would throw some money on this.
I would say Georgia, hell no. Alabama, very possible. They play Alabama like it's their Super Bowl, man. And if Alabama has QB issues like we think they possibly could this year, and Peyton Thorne balls out, definitely could see the potential for this hitting.
Yeah, right now Auburn against Georgia, the line, they're plus 18.5 point underdog. Against Alabama, they are plus 14. So
I'll say it's in Jordan-Hare. Crazy things happen when these two play in Jordan-Hare. I like it, Shub.
That's all you need to say. All right, Gonzo, what do we got next?
All right, I'm taking us back to the G5. I'm taking us down to CUSA. And my next bold prediction is that the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs will make the CUSA championship game. And my line of thinking with this is they play Western Kentucky at home, and then they get Liberty on the road, but a 10-day kind of bye built in after they play New Mexico State. I really think that if the Bulldogs, who have a decent-ish roster, Hank Bachmeier coming over from Boise State, I think if they could split between these two, and given that some of the new schools aren't even eligible to play in the CUSA championship, I think there's a shot that the Bulldogs could kind of sneak their way in there.
So this one's pretty simple. This one, you can go to the sports books and bet it because that's what's available. This is DraftKings line, so plus 320. So Gonzo, I hope you went in and bet some money on this one. So all I'm going to say is plus 320. That equates to a 24% chance. And I like what you said about the other teams not being eligible because CUSA only has 9 teams this year. 2 of them are FCS schools moving up, Sam Houston and Jacksonville State. They're not eligible for the postseason. So realistically, only 7 teams can make it to the CUSA title game. Less competition. I like it.
2 things. Gonzo, I love the G5 representation in these bold takes. I love the deep dive here. And the second one is I love that logic that you used to come up with that. If you can go get this line, I would actually put a flyer on that. That's incredible logic for this. I think it's worth putting a flyer on.
I will say off air, Shub actually did bring that to my attention as well, that some of the new additions aren't eligible. So it is not completely me being big brain. Shub also helped reaffirm my position by dropping that tidbit. So as always, thank you for being sharp between the ears.
You gotta know that stuff. It's one of the dumbest. It's one of the dumbest NCAA rules ever created.
Agreed.
Is that you can't make the postseason if you just came up from FCS.
James Madison still can't do it, and they were one of the best teams in the Sun Belt last year.
Makes absolutely zero sense. But that's another topic for another day. All right, let's move it, gentlemen, down the line here. Navy. I'm sticking in the G5. Let's keep the G5 flow going here. Navy will finish top 3 in the American. Navy to make the American championship game is plus 1,200, I believe, right now. That's a little tough because I think the American has some good teams at the top. But can they finish top 3? Let's lower it down just a little bit, come down a little bit. Top 3, plus 600. I'll take those odds. Give me Navy. I believe right now they're what? I think projected to finish like 7th or 8th, like middle of the pack in the American. I got a handful of Navy futures flyers. So new coach, little bit of a new scheme. I think they can have a bounce back year and create some havoc.
Well, Shub, when it comes to Navy, and this the particular odds of getting this one, I think it's just like their mascot, the midshipman, emphasis on the mid. I think your chances of this one are not very high.
Shub, I'll say I like the senior presence they have. Granted, it's Navy, so once you kind of enroll, usually you're pretty committed to the service academy. So, if this group of hardened guys can come together, who knows? Because in the past, Navy has been a competitive and better American team. So it would be nice, even though they're going through a coaching change and everything, for them to finish in the top 3, especially, of course, to beat Army. That'd be a fantastic first year. I think it's possible for the midshipmen.
Plus 600. I think that's fair odds, but I came up with that myself. So plus 1200 if you want them to make the title game. All right, Colin. So what's next?
All right. So I love that you were in the American because I'm keeping us there. And
Man,
we're
swimming in the G5 today, boys.
This one hits a little close to home, more so my parents' home. The Florida Atlantic Owls, under a new tutelage, I have them making the American Athletic Conference championship. You got Tom Herman coming in, bringing the good vibes. Casey Thompson transfers in from Nebraska. You got Larry McCammon, who's a Maxwell watch list guy at running back, along with just a bunch of upperclassmen returning on both the offensive line, the defense in general. And when we just get into the schedule, that makes me think this is possible. They get a crack at UTSA and Tulane. Both are at home. And kind of like my logic with La Tech, if you could just split one of those, you can at least make an appearance. And I just think even going up a conference, that Tom Herman's going to instill just a new culture in there, and that FAU is going to kind of get it rolling again.
Hey, I like it, man. Tom Herman, we all like that hire. Remember, Zan and I, we were covering that. I think we both gave that hire like an A or an A+ when we were doing our coaching hire grades for Florida Atlantic.
We were shocked they were able to beat out Cincinnati for Tom Herman. That's what was crazy.
Exactly. So, I mean, them making noise in year 1, I don't think it's that far-fetched. Plus 280 on DraftKings. I like it, Gonzo.
I don't think it's far-fetched either. I think that's actually very realistic for FAU to potentially be in that championship game.
All right. Well, we have a couple more to go here. So I will give you guys my final bold prediction of today's segment. You guys ready for this?
Let's do it. Let's hear it.
This one is very, very spicy. I mean, very spicy. Lincoln Riley will not be the head coach of USC by the end of this season.
That's got to be higher than plus 3,200. Come on now.
10,000.
Yeah.
So hear me out. Before you guys think I'm crazy, hear me out here. I gave myself a 3% subjective chance of this happening, which equates to plus 3,200. Lincoln Riley. I know it's just a second year at USC. What is USC doing after this season? They're going to the Big Ten. Did Lincoln Riley, when he took that job, did he sign up to be the head coach at USC playing in the Big Ten and every other week going out to fly out to Indiana and Iowa and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania? Did Lincoln Riley sign up for that? I don't think he did.
Probably not.
Did Lincoln
So you think he's off the NFL?
Did Lincoln Riley have the chance to just stay at Oklahoma and have a pretty good roster, a Heisman level quarterback, and a bunch of talent all around him? All you have to do is simply stay there, ride them into the SEC, a step up in competition. What did he decide to do instead? He decided, no, I'm going to go to the Pac-12 and just dominate the Pac-12. That's much easier. What is USC not doing anymore? They're not going to be in the Pac-12 anymore after this year. Also, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh,
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying there's a few NFL jobs coming out after this year. I think Lincoln Riley could be a head coach of an NFL team going into 2024. I think there's a 3% chance of it happening. And if you gave me plus 3,200 odds or 32-1 odds, I will take a flyer on that. I don't think he's going to get fired, of course. I mean, that's not going to happen. Scandal could happen, but probably not.
Amazing.
He might leave, guys. Just don't be surprised if this happens. Mark my words. It is August 20th, 2023. Don't be completely shocked. Don't fall out of your seat if you see this happen in January. That's all I'm saying.
So the by season's end part, I think, makes this like a plus 10,000, because the only thing here is if he actually decides to leave. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the contract myself, but he must have some kind of significant buyout in that USC contract. So an NFL team must be willing to front like tens of millions of dollars just to get him, in addition to the contract they would offer him. So that's the only thing that kind of complicates this. And then by season's end is kind of tough because that means he's announcing before they're even playing their bowl game that I'm getting the hell out of here.
Well, no, that includes the bowl game. That means like the season's end means like after the national championship game.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But still, man, I think if you would have said like this will happen in the next 2 or 3 years, I think it would hold a lot more water to be like the plus 3,200. But since you're saying by the end of the season, I would put like plus 10,000 because I just don't think it's going to happen.
That's a less.
But
than
it's
1%
really
chance.
it's really bold. Yeah, I think it's less than 1%. Yeah, it's really bold. By the end of this season, I think this is the boldest take of the segment.
Oh, it definitely is, and that's why I had to give it really high odds. But all I'm saying is, guys, it could happen. Caleb Williams is gone after this year. Your Heisman quarterback, he's gone. Like, I'm just saying, man, like it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of transitioning going to be going around USC. There's going to be a lot of moving parts around USC at the end of this year, going into next year. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if it happens. I have no inside information. I know nothing. I don't know Lincoln Riley's realtor. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know his maid.
He would be hated by OU and USC fans.
I'm for it because that Malachi Nelson quarterback market will be just absurdly entertaining to watch because I mean he committed there for Lincoln. So if he's out on the open market, oh man, that'll be super entertaining to watch the bidders.
Nothing would make OU fans happier than if this happened. So if Shub Sportsbook hung this one out there, a bunch of people from Norman, Oklahoma would be running to put some money on this. All right. One last before we finish it off here, Gonzo, what do you got?
Nice and crisp, not as sexy as the Lincoln Riley prediction. UMass isn't going to win a game this year. They got 2 winnable games, in my opinion. It's Arkansas State and Merrimack. I cannot even tell you where Merrimack is, but I just think UMass just does not have a good roster. And even with Don Brown at the helm, I just think this is not a good football team. I actually went and did bet the under 2, but why not? Let's just go for 0.
Yeah, so you jumped ahead of me there. Their win total is 2. So it is like as low as you're going to find a win total because they don't go underneath 2 usually. However, I gave this a subjective 10% chance of happening only because, man, dude, listen, man, I know UMass is bad, but like Merrimack.
Yeah,
to lose to Merrimack.
That's what I was thinking. Merrimack.
Does
that's
anybody
your
listening
risk right there. Yeah.
Does anybody listening know where Merrimack is?
I'll just say
somewhere in the East.
Sanford put 35. Sanford covered against Georgia, and Sanford put 35 on Florida. So you never know with these FCS teams what you're going to get. And again, the Merrimack is what gives me kind of the concern there. But you just never know that game's later in the year. It's cold up there. If you've checked out, you could get clipped by Merrimack.
Hey, I'm just saying, Merrimack is what makes this bold.
Yes, exactly. If you said they only win 1 game, I think you would have very realistic opportunities for this to hit. But man, that's tough. I think Merrimack you got to be worried about, and then maybe Arkansas State at home, and then New Mexico at home, maybe Miami of Ohio. But yeah, that's
they're
tough,
gonna make a bowl
man.
game now.
This is sicko. This is very sicko right here.
Oh, we gotta give the G5 some love. I mean, so this is our way.
Hey man, Shub Sportsbook will hang this one out there if I get some money coming in from Gonzo's account.
I think you boys felt bad about not doing G5 win total, so you guys accommodated G5 in your picks, your bowl predictions.
Man, we had to satisfy that itch, man. We had to. We got to give the G5 some love. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this segment. Man, this was fun. I always like this, man. I like this segment every year. I think it's an opportunity to get creative. And, last year we actually did pretty well. I had a handful that actually hit. So we'll see if some of these hit this year. That's the hope. The whole point of this is we would put our legitimate hard-earned cash on this if it was available. And for some of us, we already have because they are available. But without further ado, this is Shu, that is Gonzo, that is Ann. This is the Saturday Scholars signing out. See y'all later. Have a great day.